Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me is Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains.
Hello all.
So, what we do on this podcast is we take a look at the biggest stories in XR from the previous week, and today we're gonna kick off with some rumors.
We like a good rumor or two, and these new rumors involve Apple Vision Pro, or should we be more precise, this sequel. These have been going on since, well, almost since the original Apple Vision Pro arrived, really. But the latest ones come from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who is quite noticeable within the tech industry for his rumors and being fairly spot on. So he's saying at the moment that the new Apple Vision Pro 2 is in the works, but it is going to be a cheaper and lighter model. A lot of the recent rumors at the end of last year were that it was actually going to be a similarly powerful model. It's going to use the new chipset that Apple were developing, and so it was going to be more powerful, better graphics, and all the rest of it. Now, supposedly, they're actually looking at making it, as I say, cheaper and lighter, therefore hopefully more accessible. But how much cheaper and lighter is unknown at this moment in time. Could it be a grand off? It's likely not going to be down to Quest 3 prices, but it may be, a little bit more affordable than 3.5 grand that it is at the moment. The second rumor that's also come into being is the fact that they are supposedly going to be creating a Mac connected headset as well. So that is one tethered by a cable to the Mac that will any of your Mac devices really. I would assume that it's going to be the newer models, so it can run decent graphics and all the rest of it. Again, these are very light rumors in terms of details and specifications. We don't know if the Mac connected headset will then therefore have no onboard compute power. Yeah, I would assume, as I'm sure you probably would as well, Kev, that they want to make it even lighter and have it powered through a PC or laptop or whatever else you would have thought.
Yeah, so to me, these rumors are pretty much flip-flopping all over the place, right? One day it's, oh no, we're not doing a Pro Lite, it's going to be a Pro 2, it's going to be more powerful and thus more expensive potentially. The next day it's going to be, no, no, there's no Pro 2, it's a Pro Lite, and it's going to be cheaper and more affordable. Where you want to place your bets, you can judge for yourselves out there, everybody. I'm I'm just happy to see it not be abandoned. I didn't think it was going to be, despite all the reports saying it is being. I never thought it would be abandoned. I think Apple, as a collective, are smart enough to know what to expect from this, and I don't think they'll be disappointed with the sales. It's not rocketed and changed the world, but I don't think they ever expected it to. I think this was a foot in the door for a decade from now, when devices such as this are small enough that they are pocket transportable and do ultimately replace smartphones. I think that's what the play was. I don't think the play was we're going to replace smartphones right now.
Well, no, no, they don't want to cut into their iPhone business or anything like that, do they, really?
No. It's the next step for when the iPhone business starts shrinking because other players have devices in the market that can replace the iPhone. They want to make sure that you progress. You've gone from your original iPhone to your iPhone to your Apple Store based phone to your Pros. You're moving up the chain as technology progresses, and this is the next step after smartphones. So yeah, it's an early play. I don't think they're going to be scared of the numbers right now. I don't think they're going to be worried about whether they sell 10 or 10,000 headsets. I think the concern is making sure that they have a product that, when the time comes, is known to be a reliable product that has been in the market for some time, and you can easily convert from your existing products to this new technology. So I don't really mind whether it's a Pro or a Lite or a 2 or a 6 or a 12, as long as they keep making them.
I would agree. As long as they do keep investing in this space, because they weren't an early adopter, were they? They weren't like HTC or Meta back in the day. They didn't come in 10 odd years ago. They've finally chosen when the technology's just at that right point that they want to come in and enter the market. And now that they have, they would have spent a lot of money over the last few years developing all this. So they're not just going to sweep it under the rug as some other tech companies might sometimes do.
But talking about early adopters, we have some stories, some news from Quest, from the Meta Quest line.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a little, something a little bit more consumer friendly this time because Meta, or more precisely, the Quest 3S, is on discount. So at the moment, you can pick up a Quest 3S for $30 or at £25, less than it normally is, which is a great little saving considering that the Quest 3S, the base model, is fairly cheap anyway. So, for example, the 128 gigabyte version, which normally retails for £290, is currently £265, so £25 off.
And in fact, I saw it in John Lewis yesterday for 259.
Well, that's I was about to get to that as well. Yes, there are retailers. We've looked at the UK retailers, and Argos and John Lewis have it for 259.99. So you get an extra fiver off, and that is for both models. So 128 gigabyte version and the 256 gigabyte version. They both have the same discount. So if you go to John Lewis, you can get the 256 model for £350, which is all right.
So frankly, 259, it's cheaper than a Switch now. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
Go out and buy one.
If you also buy you can either have the saving off the headset from other retailers, but if you go for buy it off the Meta store, there is another deal as well where you can get £50 off a carrying case as well. If you wanna, if you want a
Reasonable?
carrying case, if you're going to take it anywhere, if it's going to stay at home, then don't bother.
Yeah. But sticking with the Quest news for a moment, we have the normal Quest free.
Yeah, the normal Quest 3 has been making it grounds, or has been flying around the world, to be more precise, on Lufthansa flights. So last year, Meta and Lufthansa collaborated on a promotion, a promotion from last summer to put Quest 3s on all of Lufthansa's flights that have it's their business class flights. So if you're lucky enough to be a business class passenger on Lufthansa, then you might have got a Quest 3 to play around with, play games, watch 3D movies, and all the rest of it. And the promotion, well, the test pilot program has gone down very well. So much they've actually won an award. The 2025 Airline Passenger Experience Association awarded them Best in-flight entertainment. Does that is that good? Yeah, I'd say that's probably good. What do you say, Kev? Yeah.
I don't know. I was on a flight recently. It had some pretty good films. So yeah.
Well, there we go. But the bonus of this is that Meta are actually now planning to bring Quest 3s to more airlines, the ones that want to partner up, and I'm sure it's going to be mostly business class. I don't think they're going to be throwing Quest 3s down into economy anytime soon. But you know,
As
that's
someone who has never flown business class, despite the amount of flights I have been on, I'm quite upset by this news.
yeah. Well, it might encourage you to go business class.
Maybe, maybe,
It might just be cheaper to buy your own Quest 3 and take it on.
probably. Yeah. But yes, moving on, we have some interesting news this time from someone who has been championing VR for a while, but never actually, as far as I know, actually made anything himself.
Yes. Well, we actually reported on this podcast last year, towards the end of last year, that James Cameron and Meta were collaborating on a multi-year partnership with Cameron's new company, Lightstorm Vision, to create 3D content, films, TV series, and all the rest of it. Well, recently he had a little impromptu interview with Meta's CTO, Andrew Bosworth, talking about 3D, VR, and all the rest of it, and how he was waxing lyrical about the fact that VR is the future of 3D viewing because he's basically gone 3D cinema and 3D TVs never really caught off. 3D cinema certainly did a bit better than 3D TVs, but all in all, they would never quite caught the public's attention. Yes, his film Avatar was the one that really kicked off more than any other film, and people did go. I went to see it in 3D. I'm sure you might have gone to see it in 3D as well, Kev.
Well, I had a 3D TV, didn't
We
I?
had 3D TV as well, but the technology wasn't exactly like 100%, especially on the 3D TVs. Like, how often did you watch a 3D film on?
I'm going to argue this point until I'm blue in the face. I'm sorry, but no. 3D TVs were amazing. The problem with 3D TVs is the expectation that people had of them. People seem to, in my experience, believe that 3D TV should have things popping out the screen at the audience and whatever else, and that's not what it was about. It was about depth, which in a VR headset, of course, is significantly more impactful than in a pane in like a window into another world in your room. So yes, I agree with Cameron that VR is the next evolution of this, but I will defend VR TVs till I'm blue in the face. Mine was great. I used it a lot.
So Cameron wasn't as defensive about 3D TVs as you were, and th almost 3D cinema because he said that he was using a lot of technical talk and talking about nits and all the brightness levels and things like that. So we're not going to go into that level of detail at the moment. But he was essentially saying yes, it was in the cinemas. It was sometimes too bright for when they were building and creating these 3D movies. That the technical limitations of these theaters around the world impacted 3D TVs, 3D cinema, and then likewise with 3D TVs, you had passive and active glasses, and then again adding a bit more confusion. I know you loved it, Kev, and you were happy with it, but not everybody was, and 3D TVs have essentially died off now. I don't know if you can even buy them anymore.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure you can. I don't think you've been able to for years.
I know exactly. And hard, Blu-ray DVDs and all the rest of it have all gone by the wayside pretty much. Harder and harder to find new releases. So yes, VR could be the new home of all things 3D, and hopefully we'll be hearing more things from Cameron and Meta in the near future. They haven't announced any projects yet. Cameron did add a little snippet at the end that he has been testing some of Meta's hardware. He didn't say what he had played, but he was very excited for what they had in the wings.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? So, wrapping up this week, as we always do, with some news about a game, and we're going to be talking about an old game today.
Besiege, yes, it's having a VR remake. Now, I'll be honest, I've never heard of this game. I don't know if you have, Kev.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is a PC game. It was a physics sandbox game where you essentially created war machines, trebuchets and catapults, and these up to modern weapons as well. And you created these war machines to, fight stuff. And essentially, it went into early access about 2015, officially launched in 2020. So it's an oldish game, but it's now getting fully remade for Meta Quest, and it's actually coming out next month in May. So not long to
Yeah.
wait.
I hadn't heard anything about this game before. I knew of its existence as the remake was announced, which was bizarre because I follow everything in VR. So, the guys behind Besiege, whoever you are, your marketing first time around didn't work. So feel free to reach out to Tiny Brains for help this time around.
Well, I can fill in some of those details for you. Spiderling Studios were the first people to make it, but the VR remake is being made by 3R Games, who you may know from Thief Simulator VR. So there you go.
So hopefully, yeah, I mean, Thief Simulator has done pretty well in VR by all accounts. So hopefully, Besiege VR does the same, has similar kind of performance.
Maybe. And if you are one of the original fans of Besiege and you actually own the PC version and you've got lots of cool war machines you wanna use, you can actually, or when the VR game comes out, you'll be able to import your war machines into VR. Isn't that fantastic?
That's awesome. Okay, so that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you all for watching. And if you know the difference between a catapult and a trebuchet, feel free to let us know in the comments below. And we'll see you all again next week.